Was one of the places from which Allied forces sailed on that bold and successful combined operation, the new landings near Anzio, only 30 miles from Rome. This is the first film to reach Britain of that operation, which evidently caught the Germans napping and placed General Kesselring in a most awkward dilemma. When our troops were embarking, he'd already called up reserves to the casino front. The Allied timing could hardly have been better. Salerno, scene of such critical fighting when our landings were made there, was now a place of embarkation. What a different scene this time, with scores of ducks about to take to the water, troops going aboard and landing craft putting to sea. The force was transported in ships of many different sizes, from small landing craft to large troop carriers. Everyone was in good heart, and remember, at this time they may well have expected strong opposition to their landing. All of them veterans, with the confidence born of experience and victories already won, they passed some of the time on the voyage north like this. As we all know, the ships reached their destination in safety and exactly on time. Organization and planning were beyond praise. Every precaution against attack was taken, and it goes without saying that air support was one of the vital factors of success. Air support and naval support, both were complete and effective. At dawn, the troops and their equipment were landed. The first, and in many ways the most crucial phase of the operation, was not standings. These pictures of the actual landings are evidence of that. At some points, the vessels could come right up to the beach. At others, there was difficulty in getting vehicles ashore through deeper water or over soft sand. Excellent work was done by a floating pier which had been towed in. As for the Navy, they were, as usual, 100% efficient. Bringing the force up to the landing places precisely on time, they got them ashore without a hitch. Their smoothly efficient work on occasions like this often escapes notice, but it didn't escape the cameramen at the Anzio beaches. General Alexander himself was soon on the spot. With him is Rear Admiral Troubridge. General Clark was there too, of course. Seeing how everything was going, they must have been feeling highly delighted. As a matter of fact, the day after those shots had been taken, a change in weather took place. Landings were temporarily held up by a fresh wind and rather rough seas, which did a small amount of damage. A good illustration of one factor at least, which may seriously interfere with almost any combined operation. bad weather, however, didn't last long, and meanwhile, Allied airmen had been at work. Bostons, among other types, flew in over the beaches to bomb the Germans and their communications further inland. Our control of the air was virtually complete. Attacks by the Luftwaffe were beaten off by our fighters, while our Bostons and other aircraft continued to bomb. Down there's the Mussolini Canal, many of its bridges blown up. As the landings continued to go ahead, the beachheads were consolidated and extended with remarkably little interference. One enemy gun shelling incoming landing craft registered a number of misses before it was captured. As more and more troops and material came ashore, push inland towards the line of communications between Rome and Cassino advanced, and first prisoners were already being brought in. The port of Anzio, Antium in ancient days, showed plenty signs of blitz. Once Nero used to come here to make whoopee, and in more recent times that equally notorious fiddler, Mussolini. But now the Allies were there and well beyond. The operation was a complete success so far. The Germans had been taken by surprise, and a big leap forward on the road to Rome had been effected. First phase was over, but the next phase, involving heavy fighting and many grim days, still lay ahead. The latest flashes from Anzio show troops moving up to the front. Of course, almost the whole of the area is really the front. As at Salerno, so here at Anzio, close naval support has been invaluable. Indeed, throughout these critical days, all services, British and American, have worked as one. A landing ground constructed early on has enabled Spitfires to refuel on the spot. This has been of the greatest possible assistance in keeping the skies clear of any strong forces of the Luftwaffe over the beachhead, but naturally it's not been possible to prevent all attacks by enemy aircraft. They've been flying a number of sorties by day and by night, doing damage to ammunition dumps and shipping. Critical day, no doubt of that, but our anxiety for the Allied forces locked in this bitter struggle has been somewhat eased by the Premier's recent statement based on confident reports from Generals Wilson and Alexander. From the Italian theatre of war, a story of shipwreck. In spite of heavy seas and a gale, an LST had set out from Anzio with a number of German prisoners taken in the bridgehead fighting. The flat-bottomed craft had been forced to anchor, but even so she was driven onto the rocky coast early in the morning, and with the result that damaged and flooded, she was rapidly breaking up. It became necessary to abandon ship, and the saving of the lives of the crew with their prisoners was a precarious business. Happily, somehow or other, most of them got ashore. Before the last men had left, there was an explosion below decks, the ship rapidly sank, and 14 lives were lost. 1 British, 4 American, and 9 German.